G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's Saturday afternoon and I'm out and about to go on a walk around the trail here at Parramatta Lakes. I haven't been to Parramatta Lakes for many years, but I don't quite remember it, to tell you the truth. But it's an impressive sort of public space with paddle boats and canoes and places to swim and jump off rocks. And it's all within the LGA, close to my place. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'll walk clockwise. So I'll go around the other way just to check things out. And what I'm going to also do today is show off the Parramatta Lakes to all my friends and family, to allow you to vicariously join me in this little outing and go through a book summary so we can learn, grow and develop in parallel. So the book summary that I'm going to take you through today is entitled Goals by Brian Tracy. The awesome author, Brian Tracy, is going to take us through this book, and hopefully we can pick up a few skills along the way. At the end of the day, lots of books and lots of material have been written on goals, but I think the important thing to understand is that each author addresses it and comes at it from a different angle. And while a lot of this material may not be new, sometimes the spin that the author puts on it may make it more interesting and more useful. So let's see where it leads us, let's see where it takes us, and enjoy the rest of this Saturday afternoon, this spring Saturday afternoon. So what the author kicks off with, he clarifies, makes it very clear that goals are very different to wishes, because goals are things that need to be clear as opposed to nebulous, and often our wishes are wishy-washy. We don't clearly know exactly what we want and how to go about getting it. So according to Brian, goals need to be clear, need to be written, need to be written down, need to be captured, need to be documented, and very specifically they need to be specific. sorry to say it like that, but they need to be specific. So clear, written and specific, so that they're easy to describe, can be measured, and you know when you get there. So an interesting look on Brian Tracy's view of goals. And he said that he owes it all to his father. His father taught him from a very young age, whilst he was growing up, the power of goals. And he says that you can't simply, and he uses this metaphor, and it's a very powerful metaphor. He said you can't simply just get up one day and run a marathon. You can try and do it, but you're probably going to end up in hospital. And what he says is that what you need to do is, first you need to conceive it, then you need to plan it, to practice it. You need to have micro goals within the larger goals to allow you to slowly, incrementally and purposefully build up to the major occasion. So this book here, we've selected 3 key points to extract and to talk about. And I'll just go on a bit of a walk and we'll see how each of these points unravels. So the first point, according to Tracy, is that we all need to get our mindset right. It's a mindset exercise and we need to get our mindset right. So it's not about just reading a book, it's about adjusting and shaping your mindset. And Brian says here that getting the mindset right is vital if you want to reach your big dreams. So I guess what he's actually saying there is that if you don't work on your mindset, then the rest of it is just going to be a waste of time. So getting our mindset right will help us achieve the first key point and is vital. And he puts a few questions to us. He asks a couple of questions for us to consider. And the first major question is, what would you attempt today if you knew that you could absolutely succeed at it? You didn't have any doubts, you didn't have any worries. You know what you want. What would you do today? What would you do right now if you knew that you could not possibly fail at it? So it's all about trying to figure out firstly what you want and then examining how we go about it. Because according to Brian, and I think we all understand this, everything around us, everything that we see, everything that we touch was first conceived in the mind and then it was put into practice. So everything starts as an idea. Oh, it's a wonderful afternoon down here. So everything starts as an idea and progresses to actuality. So it all started off in somebody's mind and then became what it became. So what and how? We need to focus our attention on our goals and we need to spend all our thinking time. So this is important as well. We need to invest our thinking times in what we want and what is possible rather than what we can't do. Pretty basic sort of stuff, but it's so basic that it is absolutely profound. So according to the author, don't waste your time thinking about the things and worrying about things that you can't change, you can't do. Think about all the things and invest your time in the things that you can, or the things that can change your life, I guess is a simple way of doing it. The second key point to come out of this text from this author is that all awesome goals, the best goals, include deadlines, are specific and actually challenge us. There's no use having things as goals that are not going to be challenging because you're just not going to have the necessary momentum and interest to follow through on it and to make it happen. So we need to incrementally increase our challenge so that we're always leaning just outside the comfort zone that we all have, and this is key. So we need to be continually pushing ourselves, pulling ourselves in a direction that is going to allow us to grow, develop, and become bigger, stronger, and more enhanced versions of who we currently are today, and to keep the process going. So the author then goes on to clarify with us and mention to us that most people don't know how to make goals effective. And as we said, let's go through the key points. They're very, very simple points, but they need to be, implemented and thought about in order to get to where you want to get to. So as we said before, they need to be specific, clear, and non-ambiguous. Years ago, when I worked for an organisation called Advantra, there was a CEO, a young CEO, whose name was Craig Cameron, and he always used to say that it's vital that our scope of work for the contracts that we were working on had to be very, very clear and unambiguous. They had to be so clear that you could explain it to a 4-year-old, and the 4-year-old could understand what the scope of work was. The big problem that most people have is that they don't have clarity. They don't have clarity in their goals. And for that reason, if you can't clearly see it, if you can't taste it, if you can't feel it, if you can't clearly imagine it, then chances are that you're not going to be able to achieve it, because you won't know if you're on track or off track, and you won't fully appreciate all the nuances that you need to appreciate in order to fine-tune things and to adjust your actions or your plan in order to get to where you need to get to. So the next thing he talks about, and we all understand this, is that it needs to be measurable. You know, what you can't measure, you can't improve. That was a catch cry when I was at IBM, and IBM used to measure everything that they could so that they could compare, contrast, bend and stretch, and enable them to, as I said before, adjust our plans to get to where we needed to get to. The author then reminds us that things need to be time bound. It means that they have to have a deadline, because you know how we people are. If we don't have a target, a timeline, then usually we don't get things done. So having a deadline. Now, for years I used to work in corporate Australia, and people would ask me to do things. And yes, we do lots of things, but because some of them wouldn't provide a deadline, you know, in the afternoon they come back and ask me, how have you gone with A, B and C? I said, yeah, it's on my list of things to do. When do you want it completed by? I said, I wanted to complete it immediately. Well, I say, well, you know, if you need it immediately, then you should have clearly told me you needed it immediately. Otherwise, you know, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what are your priorities, because I certainly have my priorities. So making sure that you clearly articulate the timings on the things, the goals, and the and the items that you want to try and achieve. I think I'll go down this way maybe, see where it leads us. And as we said before, they need to be challenging, and most importantly, the key point, I guess, to come out of this book from Brian Tracy is that goals need to be in harmony. Goals need to connect with your values. They need to resonate with your being. They need to make you feel comfortable. They need to make you feel good. And you need to take ownership, and they need to be in harmony. You've got to make sure that at your conscious and subconscious level, there's no cognitive dissonance There's no disturbance. There's no wanting to resist or push back. So in order to achieve that, as we said, then things need to be in harmony. So it's easy to say, much harder to do, but unless you're working on things that you believe in, that you love, and resonate deeply with your vibe, then you're going to be, I guess, not putting in 100%, according to Tracy. So, and most importantly, according to Tracy, is that you need to have an overarching goal. You need to have a goal that sits on top of everything else. So a guiding principle, a purpose, a massive why, to which all the others are connected to. So this is one of the key themes that comes out of the book, that Brian says you need an overarching goal to which the other goals attach to and feed from. So the last point, the third point to come out of this book, and we'll cover now, is where Tracy says that we all need to do some soul searching. Oh, this lake is pretty big. Everybody needs to do some soul searching, and it's a good way to set you on the sure path to reaching your goals. You need to ask yourself a few simple questions, and those questions, as we said before, whilst they may be simple, can be challenging at the same time. So you need to ask yourself, if you really, really want to achieve the goal, how important is this goal for you? You need to be able to convince yourself. You need to be convincing to yourself and others that you deserve it once you reach it. So being deserving is paramount, and just having that sense of entitlement, even though it's selfish, it is critical and important, because it's only once you convince yourself and you can see, taste, feel and experience that goal that you want to achieve, that you become unshakable. It's a powerful word. It's a very, very empowering concept, to be unshakable. But it's one of the things that we're all leading to, according to Tracy, to do what we have to do in order to become unshakable. I tell you what, I haven't been to Parramatta Lakes in years, and it's been so long that I've actually forgotten how big it is. It's just absolutely massive. It goes all the way down there, through to there, back through to there. They've got trees here with swinging ropes. They've got rocks that you can jump off and bomb off. Certainly a sort of place that would be nice to come down here with a family. Not quite sure how clean the water is here, but I guess when you're young, you don't really care about how clean the water is, as long as you've got a place to be with your friends, where you can suck on some beers, have a bit of fun, and just horse around and be yourself. So I guess that's about it. So the last point here is, the last point we need to do is, once we set out what our goals are, then we need to sit down and list all the things, all the reasons why these goals can improve our life. Because once again, it gives resonance, it gives depth, it gives an added dimension to your goal, to make it something that you really want to chase after. It's really, really important to be able to wake up in the morning, have a goal, have dreams, goals, ambitions that make you wake up early in the morning and keep you up late at night, where you still feel energized, even if you haven't had your allocated quota of sleep. you just feel pretty awesome about it all the time. So thank you very much for joining me. I really enjoyed this little walk here around Parramatta Lake. I'll keep on heading around. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get all the way around, but I'll give it a go. I think it closes here at 5:30, but if they lock me in here, then you'll see me here throughout the night vlogging away. So I look forward to chatting to you again from a different location with a different message, a message of empowerment, where we can be partners in each other's growth and development, and at the same time learn a little bit more about what makes this city so special, so beautiful, and to showcase the beauty of Sydney and the beauty of suburban Sydney. There's a little cave up here, so I could just imagine in years gone by that cave, that little shelter there, could have been used by an Indigenous community to just chill out here by the lake. But who knows, unless we get in a time machine and go back and see what was happening back in those days, then the rest of it is probably just best held in our imaginations. Take care everybody, yasas, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.